The views expressed in this program do not necessarily reflect those of this station.
Welcome to Insights into Northeast Michigan, a WBKB News public affairs program. Insights deals with the issues affecting those in the community as well as Northeast Michigan and the state. And now, Insights into Northeast Michigan.
City of Alpena Mayor Matt Wallagora, how are you today?
Very good, thank you.
Good. So today we are going to be talking about recreational marijuana and how it is impacting Northeast Michigan. So let's jump right in. Let's talk about what happened on December 1st and what changed in regards to recreational marijuana.
Well, so as I understand it, December 1st, the state started allowing recreational marijuana sales, and that hasn't impacted Northeast Michigan, to my knowledge, certainly not here in Alpena, because we haven't opted into recreational marijuana ordinance yet. So really not a big impact here as far as the change goes on December 1st.
Now, I know that we have not opted into recreational marijuana sales here, and I think a lot of people will be interested in knowing, is there a reason why that hasn't happened yet?
From the City Council standpoint, we haven't really discussed it a lot. Certainly early on, we didn't opt in, mainly for the same reason we didn't initially opt into the medical marijuana, only because the state hadn't gotten all their laws and things in order, and so as a city government, you go into a waiting process to wait and see how it's going to pan out. Our perspective was jump into it too soon, and then the state might enact some laws and legislation that we don't necessarily agree with, and so which was, from my perspective, the best thing to do with medical marijuana, because it changed so much, and what the state allowed us to do and didn't allow us to do changed significantly since 2008 up until 2012. So in 2017 again. So it's pretty much just a waiting process.
Do you feel like that puts Northeast Michigan, Alpena specifically, behind at all in terms of the marijuana topic?
I don't know if it puts us necessarily behind. Certainly other areas, obviously places like Ann Arbor and the bigger cities that are maybe a little bit more used to it, and maybe a little bit more, maybe it's more of the norm in some of these places than it is here. So I'm not sure if it puts us behind, so to speak, or if it just, we're always a little bit apprehensive to jump into something where maybe a different city might want to just get right in the game. So.
Let's talk about reactions from citizens. So I know there has been a little bit of movement in terms of medical use for marijuana here in Northeast Michigan, but I'm interested to know what people are saying and thinking about the use of recreational marijuana here and being able to purchase it here as well.
Again, I don't get a lot of feedback on the recreational side, mainly because we haven't really opened up a lot of dialogue for it. Obviously on social media you kind of get both sides when a report comes out, and so you get to see people's comments and things like that regarding it, and I'd have to say it's definitely pretty mixed as far as what people's opinion are, and it's not a perfect poll, so you really don't know. Even the voting booth isn't a perfect poll anymore as far as how people feel, but you get both sides. A lot of people may not be users, but they're looking for that revenue and that job source, anything that we can do to get people to come to Alpena and jobs here. And then you have the other side of people that would rather not trade having recreational marijuana sales and grows and things of that nature here. They just don't see the trade-off in the resources that it might provide. So you get probably a pretty good mix of just about everything.
So it seems like we just haven't gotten that deep into the topic of recreational marijuana here yet. But based on what you've seen regarding medical marijuana, do you think that any trends or anything like that can be predicted for the future?
Perhaps there's quite. I talked to quite a few people that are much more supportive of medical marijuana than they are of recreational marijuana, and then there's supporters of both, and then those that don't support at all, and so you get kind of a mix. But I think just like anything. When things start to normalize in our society, then they just kind of become a little bit more normalized and more acceptable as time goes on. So perhaps we'll see that throughout the state and certainly the other states that have legalized. And so it's, I mean, across the whole country, it's a changing trend from just less than 10 years ago. So it's really hard to determine, but that would be my perspective, that it just becomes a little bit more normalized than it has.
Mm-hmm. Now, you mentioned that some of the feedback you've gotten has included people who are they're all in for the medical use, but not for recreational use. Have you gotten any specific examples maybe of why? Is it just that it's not normalized yet and people haven't gotten used to the idea?
I guess maybe our access to social media and more just with having smartphones, and so you get to see things that are going on out in the world, and so I think that I think that there's a respect for people that are using marijuana in some form or another for PTSD and Parkinson's and seizures and things like that, are a lot more accessible to us and to people, and so it's really almost hard to not recognize that there's a use for it, and perhaps a much better natural use than some of the pharmaceuticals that are out there that are very, well, obviously we know the opioid crisis that people talk about, and so as an alternative, I seem to get a lot more feedback and positive opinions on the medical side than the rec side, but I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, for
Sorry.
sure. And then let's just talk about really quickly if maybe one day we can expect to see recreational marijuana use and sale here, or if it's just too early to tell right now.
Well, I can tell you that I'm looking to at least get very, very close, if not finishing our work on the medical marijuana side and ordinances pertaining to that. And then I think as a council we owe it to the community to advance the discussion into the recreational side. Now, whether that gets the approval that medical did or not, I really couldn't say, because we really haven't openly discussed it too much. But I can pretty much assure you that we'll go right into discussions about that, and the reason for that is that when we tabled medical marijuana, and we were very specific, we want to table this and we want to wait until the laws get straightened out. That doesn't mean that we're just going to put it away until the squeaky wheel comes. We're going to start bringing some of this back and bringing it to the table and finding out where we're at with it. I think people deserve to know, rather than just waiting and then wondering, well, when is that topic going to come up again? Right. So we'll be discussing it. Hard to say when, perhaps in the spring. So.
Well, I think that lays a good baseline and kind of just gets community members informed. But when we come back, we'll be here with Scott Schroeder, and he is the owner of Meds Cafe Provisioning Center in Rogers City. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Insights. I am here with Scott Schroeder, and he is the owner of Meds Cafe in Rogers City. Thank you for being here with us today.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So we are going to continue to follow up on the recreational sale and use of marijuana. Let's start with Meds Cafe and what you do and what you've been doing up until this point.
We opened for medical sales April 4th, and we have been pretty much running nonstop. Business has been pretty good. It's it's just with a typical business in northern Michigan. You see an uptick in the summertime, and now we're starting to mellow back out, and it's just really nice to be able to offer the medicine that we're offering to the community members and to the state of Michigan, because we're one of the only provisioning centers in northern Michigan. So.
Now, when I came up in April, that was one of the hot topics, is that Meds Cafe was one of the only places in Northeast Michigan where people could go and get that medical marijuana. What's the benefit of that?
For us, it's that we kind of have a lock on the customer base up here, and with the connections that we've made and the people that we're dealing with, we're able to bring the products that are available downstate in the larger cities to the customers and patients up here. And it's pretty remarkable the effects that the marijuana is having on some people's ailments. It's really quite remarkable. So.
Mm-hmm. Any specific uses that you've seen where it's been beneficial so far?
Without getting into too many personal details, it's really difficult, but it's one thing that we're trying to arrange up in Rogers City. We're going to do a meet and greet, and we're going to have it's almost going to be a roundtable discussion, and it's going to have THC, CBD speakers, testimonials from marijuana users, and I've been working with the city and the Chamber of Commerce trying to line that up.
Now let's talk about what changed after December 1st regarding recreational use and sales. What's been different for Meds Cafe and what's going to be different for users?
The biggest thing that changed for us on December 1st is the amount of phone calls that we're getting if we sell recreationally, which we are in the licensing process with the state. We're still going through it. We're lining up our inspections. We anticipate license probably by mid-December. It's been a very long process with the whole medical aspect, but the rec side has been a little quicker. We should be rec sales come mid-December here. So.
Mm-hmm. And what does that consist of as far as the process of being able to sell recreationally versus medically?
Well, the state came out with some guidelines to help with the supply and the demand, because that's where the state has kind of got themselves in almost like a stalemate, because we won't have recreational product until these recreational grows and processors get going. And so with the what the state has come out with is that we can take 50% of our inventory that's been in stock for 30 days and we can transfer that over to the rec market. And so that'll be able to, and so that way also that won't deplete the medical side of the whole business. Medical patients will have priority per se, where say if there's a line of rec patients in our store and a medical patient's in, they're going to get priority treatment and get right in, and they'll be able to buy the meds that they need. So,
Is there a way that you plan to go about differentiating between those two crowds?
Yeah. It's the medical patients, or excuse me, the recreational patients won't be able to buy the medical marijuana. There's going to have two different tags, and so they go by the same metric guidelines, the tracking system, but they're going to have two different numbers, and the rec sales will be tracked on one end, and the medical sales will be tracked on the other end.
Now, what will that do for traffic now that the law has come out? You said you've seen an uptick in phone calls. What will that do to the foot traffic when that licensing is complete?
We anticipate probably 4 to 5 times the business that we're seeing right now. It's we're receiving more phone calls than we are patients coming through the door asking about rec sales. We had phone calls as far away as Wisconsin, saying that we're going to be the nearest recreational store. So they'll cut through the UP and come all the way down. It's pretty amazing. And the support that we've had from everybody in the community and likewise everywhere else has been pretty remarkable. So
that is quite amazing. Now, we spoke a little while ago about the potential to expand now that recreational sales are legal. Let's talk about that and some of the areas that you are looking to expand into.
We are actually expanding in Lowell, Michigan, right outside of Grand Rapids, and we're also in licensing process over in Manistee. We're in the build-out down in Lowell. We anticipate being open for rec sales down there if everything goes as planned. We anticipate mid-June, or January rather. And the Manistee store, we're probably looking February, March. We're a little further back in the build-out on that one.
And just let's talk about the benefits really quickly of that expansion. What will that do for the communities where we have these provisioning centers?
Well, just for the one provisioning center that we're running right now, we have 3 full-time employees. Those are the full-time employees that work at livable wages. We're adding 3 more once we go rec. We're adding another cash station. We also have a 500 plant grow that we're trying to get started right now. That we've run into some zoning issues with the county, but we'll see those through. So there's a lot of expansion, and we're, like I said, the 2 retail shops should be open first quarter of the 2020. So.
Now, when we come back, we are going to rejoin with Mayor Matt Wallagora because this is a topic impacting all of Northeast Michigan. So we'll kind of bring these 2 together and see what comes and what's coming of recreational marijuana sales. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Insights. Today I am here with Mayor Matt Wallagora of the City of Alpena, and I am here with Scott Schroeder, and he is the owner of Mez Cafe in Roger City. And today we are talking about medical marijuana and recreational marijuana, which sales just became legal on December 1st, like we've been talking about. So let's just jump right into this last segment here. Let's talk about doing things the legal way. We know now that recreational sales are legal. Let's talk about where people can and can't use these products.
All right, I can start, I guess, as far as the City of Alpena goes. The use of marijuana in pretty much any legal form is lawful on private property, so in your own home, or if you're in somebody else's home or someone else's establishment. And then, so where it's not, where we've banned the use is in city parks, recreational areas, basically city property. If you're on city property, you're probably in a ban zone, sidewalks and things of that nature. So, but privately, that's up to the landowner themselves.
And one other spot that it's very illegal, you can't do it on premise of a dispensary or a provisioning center. So there's no open consumption anywhere. You can't even smoke cigarettes. You're not supposed to.
Oh, wow.
Because you can't differentiate between the tobacco and from the cameras. So they just outlawed it all within camera shot. Now,
is that a danger to use one or the other of both in the area of a provisioning center?
I guess it's up to you and what the cops want to enforce. But you know, we have signs around that say no open consumption, you know, no smoking and whatnot. So.
Right. And I'll direct this next question first to you, Scott. Let's talk about how this will impact the economy. I know you talked a little bit about this in the last segment. For those provisioning centers that are opening for recreational sale, what will that do for the economy in that area?
Well, the first day in sales for the 4 stores that opened down in Ann Arbor, the one-day sales was $220,000 between the 4 stores. You know, that's over $70,000 a store. Are we going to do those numbers? Probably not. You know, we don't anticipate seeing that many people. We just don't have the demographics for it. But are we going to see large numbers? Yes, we will. People are going to drive from all over the place to come see us.
Do you have any comment on that as far as the economic potential that's there behind the provisioning centers?
Sure. You know, from my perspective, you're opening up a facility where people are going to come into town and spend their money. And they're going to hire, because there's obviously a staff requirement, perhaps a security requirement as well. And so, you know, Alpena's taken the perspective for quite a lot of years is that we're not always looking for that huge establishment or huge industry to come in and hire 140 people at a time. And so pretty much just about anything I think at this point that's legal is going to bring jobs, and it's going to bring money, and it's going to bring visitors into the area, like Scott said, that might be coming from other areas. And so anytime someone comes to an area for a specific thing, whether it be any of the stores that we currently have that are open, they're going to get a good look around at the community and other stores, and perhaps shop there, or perhaps come back at another time. And we've even seen, you know, obviously people come for a specific reason like that, and then end up moving here and opening their own facility here of whatever kind. So I think everything has its benefits, sure.
Mm-hmm. And I will direct this question to you as well, Mayor Walagora. I think a lot of people are concerned about the safety with bringing recreational marijuana sales and use to the area. Has been looked at as a drug and something negative for a long time. What would you say to those people who are concerned about the safety aspect?
Well, I guess from a couple of different perspectives. Certainly from the perspective of the state laws that Scott and his peers have to go by as far as the state regulates, and then you look at he mentioned cameras. So these facilities have a certain amount of cameras on the inside and outside, which benefits him, but it. And I just heard this from a business owner the other day that would also benefit the businesses in the area themselves, because now they have a bit of added security if something happens to their store or around them, because there's 24/7 surveillance. And so I think if you can look at that as a benefit, I guess there's always going to be a negative perspective, even a concern of my own. That establishment has like that, but you look at you look at all-night gas stations and jewelry stores and things like that also have that security issue or that concern about having something that someone else wants. And so it's I guess hopefully the perspective and the opportunity is there for the security of everyone. And of course, we have a fantastic police department and hunt team in our area that are also here on both the local and the state level to help us out with that.
Absolutely. Anything to follow up regarding safety?
Yeah, I had to phone the police more at the restaurant than at the dispensary. Wow. So yeah, if the alcohol I think is a larger problem than the marijuana use.
Absolutely. So you're expanding, and we're talking mostly about medical marijuana use in the city of Alpena right now. Is there any chance of a provisioning center ever moving into the city of Alpena?
On the recreational side or the medical side?
Both.
Certainly, I look forward to the medical side provisioning centers. We've actually we're in the process of writing ordinances and zoning for all 5 of the entities involved in medical marijuana, and so because we tend to just kind of concentrate on provisioning centers lately, but we've got zoned areas that I think that processing centers and grow areas would probably also be appropriate, and so we're in the process of writing the ordinances for that, and so you probably we'll be looking forward to seeing some movement on that, probably in the winter time, I hope, to get through that. And on the rec side, we've been in the waiting pattern. Obviously, December 1st finally came, I guess, and so we'll probably look at it the same way as we looked at med, and we'll just see that the state laws have ironed out, and that they actually have laws and not emergency rules and things of that nature that they call them, because they just seem to change on a monthly basis. But I think we'll move right into that. And as I mentioned in the segment earlier, is that I want to keep this relevant and keep at least moving in a direction. And if we don't move into the rec side, at least we owe it to people to let them know that, hey, we haven't opted in.
Absolutely. And is there any word on the expansion?
I would just like to mention too, on these businesses that will possibly be coming in, like the processors and the growers and whatnot. You got to think all the ancillary businesses too that come off of that as well. All the contractors that are involved. There's a lot of trickle down that it'll feel.
Any risk involved here with potentially moving into an area with a provisioning center?
No, in fact, police forces or police presence is increased. So anytime that police presence is increased, I feel that safety is better.
Right, absolutely. And is there anything else that you had to add, Mayor Walagora?
No, I think you pretty much covered it all. And like I said, I guess something that I didn't mention for anybody that's interested. we've been having I'm trying to keep it on an hour's workshop after each of our regularly scheduled council meetings on first and third Monday of the month, unless it's a holiday. And so that's where that discussion is taking place as far as our buffer zones and our limits and pretty much everything that encompasses the zoning and ordinances. So we've gotten some participation in the community in the last couple meetings, and look forward to even more of that.
All right. Well, unfortunately, that is all the time we have for Insights. Thank you both so much for being here with us and educating us today, and we'll catch you on the next Insights.
Insights into Northeast Michigan is produced by WBKB News. If you have any comments, suggestions, or topics you would like to see on a future show, please email WBKB News. This has been a production of Thunder Bay Broadcasting Corporation. All rights reserved.